By dusk, the 100-colored army had gathered in full atop the temple hill to watch the final display of the Queen's wrath. They lined up a dozen prisoners before the doomed Temple of the Divines, its polished marble surface cutting a hash line against the darkening purple sky. The twin moons hung above the horizon, a pink sheen cast along the temple's surface from the reflections of the red moon. Watching like an eye from the heavens, the pale moon watched as well, silver light gleaming off the tips of the thousands of spears blanketing the hillside. Some of the prisoners wept, others stared blankly. The rest grew panicked and wild, where elites of Lin restrained the wild ones. When Queen Votisa began to sing, the earth shook, and the thousands of dragons knelt before her. The elements seemed to burst into flames around her neck as they brought the first prisoner to his knees beside her. Her words were in the ancient tongue, though none of them understood. The oak and the ash roots of Narrated began to dance beneath their feet. The temple hill cracked and burst like an egg, hundreds of wood tendrils sprouting out to slither their way toward the temple. Verthuken began to weep now, hardened warriors of rival castes, brought to tears by the majesty of the element and their queen. Votisa! Their voices rose up in unison. Votisa! Votisa! Lost in rivalry, druids and crones began to dance, howling as a great fire was lit adjacent to the temple. Soon, the warriors and even some elites joined in the gluttony. She felt the element falter and placed her hand on the prisoner. When the man pulled away, they restrained him with the ends of their spears, his pupils tightening as she made the connection. The band around her throat drank in the man's life, pouring it into the roots as she continued to sing. When the prisoner was spent, they pulled him aside and opened his throat to water the earth before the temple. Then the next one was brought forward and made to kneel beside her. Votisa! The crowd shrieked as roots dismembered, stumps, and the vines crept up the side of the temple. By the time they brought their final required prisoner, 8 black husks lay in the heap beside the queen, with a growing pool of red mud beneath them. Green and brown fingers pushed their way into the oculus of the temple's dome, causing the entire structure to shiver as they clamped down. Cracks spread out along the surface like buckling ice, plumes of white dust bursting into the air as the white temple began to bend under the pressure. The stones seemed to scream and cough over the moaning roots tightening down around them as its pieces began to break away. Rosum's innocent smile flashed in the queen's mind. Trees reclaim, she concluded, wet-eyed and grimacing. The seasons are doomed to change. The Dragon Queen sang a final word, and in a dramatic motion, clapped her hands together. The element burst into a banishing light that whisked away all shadow, and for a fleeting moment it was midday at twilight. Then, the fire died. A brisk wind rose up over Hyberna as the roots encrusting the walls and dome lurched, tightening into a wooden fist. The movement was so sudden, and the force so violent. The marble meteors screamed through the air in every direction, shattering roof, wall, and tree alike throughout the city-state. Stone and ash rained down from the sky. Their nobles poured out of the ruins like ants escaping a collapsed hill, and the 100-colored Army of Lin fell upon them. I can make it stop with one word, she reminded herself. But it fell on deaf ears. Their nation needed this, and she knew. It was the way of the world for one predator to devour another from time to time. She took note at how the formation of wood, root, stone, and vine had settled to resemble a massive, chaotic tree. The green fist of Hyberna